Today we will be talking about lists. This is the part one of this mini series about data types. So let's start. List is also known as an array. In other programming languages like Java, it is a collection of values. It can be a string, integer, a dictionary, a list, or a set. You also know that it is a list because you'll see the square brackets because a list is stored in a square bracket. It is also mutable, meaning they can be changed or altered. And we'll know how to do that in the next slide, so just keep on watching. Values are accessible by indices and they are ordered. Ordered because they are indexed and they follow the index counts. And they also allow duplicate members, unlike a set. Moving on to creating a list. You can create an empty or a non-empty list. To create a non-empty list, you can do it in two ways. One, you can just initialize an empty square bracket. So if you print that out, you print out my list, you have to get an empty square bracket. Second way is to call the function list. Calling a function list is basically initializing an empty string. So if you print that out, you will also have to get an empty square bracket. For non-empty list, you can just specify your variable and then populate your list with that depending on the data type of the value. Make sure to separate them by commas. So if you print out my list, you'll have to get a list with apple, banana, and cherry in quotes and separated by commas. But how about if you want to access individual items inside a list? Let's move on to accessing items. From the same example from earlier, you have apple, banana, and cherry. What if I only want to access apple? Index starts with 0, so the first element is the 0th element, and second item is index 1, and so on. So in this example, if you print out the 0th element, you have to get apple. If you print out the first index, you'll have to get banana. Negative indexing means to begin from the end. Your first element, that's the 0th element, the first element from the end should be -1. So -1 refers to the last item, and -2 refers to the second to the last item, and then so on. So for example, from the same example from earlier, if you print out my list -1, you have to get cherry. If you print out -2, you'll have to get banana. Another way of accessing a list is through range. There are a few ways that we can specify range of indices. So we have this upgraded list so that it'll make more sense to specify a range of index. You can specify range of indices by specifying the start and end range. So for example, let's print out my list 3 up to 6. 3 is your start range, so it will be included, and the end range is like a stop indicator. It will stop in that index, but that index will not be included. Also, when specifying a range, the return value will have to be a new list. So if we are to execute 3 until 6, we will have to get a new list containing orange, kiwi, and melon. Because apple is the 0th element, 1, 2, 3. So orange is included, kiwi and melon, and then mango is the 6th element, 6th index. So that will not be included. It just stops there. Another way is to specify your end range only. If you specify your end range only, that will have to print the first item and end on the end range that you specify. So this code will give you apple, banana, cherry, orange, kiwi, and melon, not including mango. Another one is by specifying your start range only. So given the same example, you have your start range, specifying the start value, that's where it starts printing or accessing, and then it will go up until the last item in the list. So that will have to be orange, kiwi, melon, and mango. Orange being index 3 of your list. You can also specify a range of negative indices, specifying end and start and end negative indices if you want to start the search from the end of the list. So given the same example here, you want to print out -5 up until -1. So -5 will have to be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So we are expecting cherry as a first index on the new list that it will have to generate. And then -1 is mango. So mango should not be included. Let's see. Cherry, orange, kiwi, and melon. Seems about right, right? Moving on, since we said that lists are mutable, so meaning we can change the item value. So how do we do that? Changing the item value of a specific item, just refer to its index number. So you have your list, apple, banana, and cherry. Initially, if you print out index 0, you have to get apple. And then we change my list of index 0 to not apple. So the new value should be not apple now. So if you print out my list of index 0, that should be not apple now. And if you print the whole list, you'll have to get not apple, banana, and cherry. So that's it. If you have any questions, just comment it down below, and we'll have to see you in the next one.